Hey, how's it going, YouTube? The offseason is already in swing in full for a lot of teams. Teams already announcing roster changes, and it's not just any team, it is a big team. NRG has officially confirmed that Mist is being removed from the starting lineup, which is crazy. They say we would like to thank Mist for his efforts throughout the past season for NRG, and we wish him the best in his next steps ahead. So, we want to talk more so on the widespread of this and kind of our thoughts and opinions on the whole idea. And it makes sense. I talked to you guys numerous times in previous messages and previous videos that when it comes to roster changes and this and that, the only teams that I think should not change is probably G2. I think G2 has proven, hey, consistency as long as they can get close to winning or winning. I don't know who they would bring in to upgrade. So it's like, okay, G2 stays the same. And then outside of that, everybody else is up in the air. You know, unless KC goes on to win the world championship, like KC built a team that is exactly what Vatira wanted. And if they don't go and win the whole thing, or they don't get the opportunity to, then yeah, you see changes. But if they do, then it's like, okay, we had a hiccup. We tried some new things. We learn and we move on. But for everybody else, especially for a team with NRG, if we look up statistically where NRG ended up at the tail end of the season, I think it's pretty telling. And I think there's a lot of things we can do now in hindsight to kind of break down why NRG was the way that they were, but it is definitely a fall from grace. NRG used to be that team that was always in conversation of a top four, going to majors, going to world championships, but 12th place, and they're tied for 12th place. But you're telling me not even like the 2-2 round consistently, if we're, you know, talking top 16 placement. Like, yes, there's a big gap and a big jump between 12th and 14th, but realistically, they are average, which is really weird to say. We're talking just pure mentality around NRG. NRG, a team that is like associated with excellence, perfection, like some of the best throughout history. Yeah, I talk about a fall from grace. So how did they get, yeah, mid, I guess, if you want to be really mean about it, Faith. Yeah, NRG's pretty average. They're pretty mid. Why is that? What is the assessment of that? How did that come to be? I think it's a multitude of things. Number one, too many roster changes. I think, again, the decision to rebuild with Garrett after they lost Justin Squishy, that's the option they went. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're trying something new. You then come in and you're like, okay, we're going with Frosty. We're bringing in Fireburner as coach and Drees. Just kidding. Not Drees. We're going with Aqua. And just kidding. We wanted Toasty as well at one point in there too. And you see this kind of ever-changing roster, which makes it, I think, really difficult on the mentality side to really lock in. This is, in my opinion, mismanagement or miscoaching. One or the other. Again, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know the reasons for them being let go, but I mean, Frosty has obviously shown highlights. Is that enough to say, like, hey, we should have given him longer time? We should have allowed him to kind of develop in a veteran system? You know, with people like Garrett alongside him, with Mist, who's been there for a long time as well? I would argue so. I think, you know, I would be very interested to hear on why the release of Frosty happened in the first place. But again, Frosty wasn't on anybody's radar in the first place until he started playing with Nolly and Calm and some of the other, you know, teams in the offseason. My association for NRG and the way that I view NRG is very highly touted. And they also have a massive fan base because of the efforts of the last, you know, since like what, season 4, season 5. When Justin came in season 5, and they've had the notoriety and winning a world championship in season 8 and all that kind of stuff. So to see that fall from grace, what has essentially been over the last 2 to 3 years, is pretty weird. It's tough for me to say, and I wish I knew. I would love to know what the future plans are, which we'll have to wait and see. And I'll keep you guys up to date on that. So make sure you guys hit subscribe so you don't miss out on it. But realistically, my interest is what the decision is for. And is this the only decision? Are we going to see a rebuild around Garrett and Aqua? A rebuild around Aqua? I don't think NRG anytime soon is going to get rid of Garrett. He has been their golden boy for so many years. But maybe that's also part of the problem. And I think in a time like now, when you have a essentially 6-month offseason with nothing to play in and nothing to play for, the factor is we have all this time to figure out what we want to do. Do we want to go, because NRG clearly has the money to go for a buyout? Do we want to search after a certain player so we can rebuild? Do we, like, there's so many factors that goes into it. Again, I still think Mist, when he puts the time in and when he's practicing and when he's grinding, is a top 10 defender in the world. Like, his midfield presence is incredible. His game sense and his methodical play is great. but we haven't seen that. And it's like, if you take Garrett and surround him with two really talented up and comers, or, you know, Aqua, who's been around for a decent amount of time, and someone that is of the like Scribbles type mentality, maybe you could find some success. But it's already starting. It's already begun. Like this offseason, roster changes and everything else going on. It's going to be chaotic. Like if you're Shift, like if you work for Shift, expect to be busy, which is a good problem. But again, I don't expect to see more than 1 or 2 rosters stay the same this whole offseason, and NRG is the first to open that up. So pretty crazy stuff. I'm excited to see how this develops, but I do not expect us to have any answers anytime soon. What I can say, though, on this channel is I will do my best during this offseason to keep you all up to date with who is changing, what rumors are going, how rosters are formulating. And yeah, we'll theory craft some of our own like we did last time. But I will also try to express, hey, if there's some things that are starting to move or some potentials that are coming together, then we can try to bring those up. But in the meantime, crazy stuff. NRG already down 1 player, and essentially a week into the offseason. And we got a long way to go. But make sure you guys want to stay up to date on that. As always, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. It's greatly appreciated when you do. Any comments down below? What's your thoughts on the Mist being let go? Do you think it's a good idea? Think it's a bad idea? Be curious to hear your thoughts. But we'll see you in the next video. Peace.